Hi, I'm Balazs from Chrono24 and today I'm going to discuss 3 reasons why the ROLEX GMT-Master II root beer is perhaps one of the most polarizing and divisive models among watch fans. So let's dive in. Before we go any further, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to learn more about watches. By the way, we have something really special coming in September, so make sure you also click on the bell to receive notifications for new videos. For now, let's get back to the watch and why it is considered so controversial. Most people who buy the GMT-Master I or II choose the Pepsi. Why? Well, for that we have to take a short trip back into the collection's history. The first GMT-Master was released in 1955. It bears a reference number 6542. Rolex had already conquered the sea with the Submariner and the mountaintops with the Explorer, so it was only a matter of time before they took to the skies. There was no shortage of pilots' watches at the time, but Pan Am needed a watch for its pilots that could display more than one time zone simultaneously. Rolex heeded the call and delivered. The resulting timepiece had an additional hour hand for tracking the time in another time zone and a two-tone red and blue bezel, also known as the Pepsi by collectors. The reference 1675 followed in 1959. It is, without a doubt, the most famous of the vintage GMT Masters. If you want to learn more about the GMT Master's history, click on the info card in the top right corner to watch our full review of several GMT models. So, Rolex had not only created the GMT Master collection, but also introduced a new and unique color combination to the bidirectional rotating bezel. Since the debut of the first red and blue bezel, Rolex has presented several other bezel color combos, like the Batman and Coke. However, one of the watches whose color scheme has attracted quite some attention and still enjoys a dedicated fanbase is the Rolex Root Beer, which appeared in the 1960s. One of the most unique and highly sought after iterations features a brown dial and brown and gold bezel. Americans were quick to note the resemblance to root beer, a popular soft drink, and the nickname stuck. In addition to its bezel, the root beer has another claim to fame among GMT models. It was the first to combine a two-tone case and bezel. The 1675-3 was the first GMT Master offered in yellow ROLEX, that is, steel and yellow gold. It was available in 2 variations, one with a black dial and bezel and the other with a brown dial and bezel. Rolex would later replace the latter's monotone bezel with a two-tone brown and cream bezel, drawing even more similarities to the refreshing beverage. However, many feel that the only true Rolex root beer is the original with a brown dial. In 1982, Rolex decided to redesign the GMT and launch the GMT-Master II. One of the key changes was the introduction of the new Cerakote bezel. Rolex retired a number of the original models as a result, including the root beer. Once discontinued, its popularity soared. Rolex revived the beloved color scheme 35 years later at Baselworld in 2018 with this reference, the 126711CHNR. However, this remake comes with a black and brown bezel instead of a brown and gold bezel of the original. This has left the watch community divided, as many had hoped the new version would feature as many of the original's details as possible. Fans still call the new model root beer, but people argue whether this even fits the bill considering its black and brown bezel and even more controversial black dial. Which brings us to reason number 2. The latest root beer's dial has 18-karat yellow gold hour markers and hands. Even the GMT-Master II inscription at 6 o'clock is gold. Overall, the look reminds me of the gilt dials found on vintage Rolexes. This makes the reference 126711CHNR special among other Rolex GMTs, as they feature wide gold markers and hands. More importantly, the combination of gold markers and hands and black and brown bezel and two-tone stainless steel and rose gold bracelet lends the reference 126711CHNR a very warm feel. Even so, the fact that it is only available with a black dial was a huge letdown for many watch fans. Indeed, it was a surprise move by Rolex and many did not know what to make of it. It is no doubt a good-looking watch, but it lacks several of its predecessor's key characteristics. In fact, many collectors argue that the reference 126711CHNR isn't a root beer at all. It may share some of the original's DNA and even bear a passing resemblance, but it's not a remake of the original. Not that Rolex ever claimed it was. Officially, it is simply known as the GMT-Master II. In addition to this edition, with a two-tone bracelet, there's also a version with an Everose gold bracelet, which brings us to the third and final reason why this particular GMT-Master II is so polarizing. The reference 126715 CH&R's bracelet has center links in polished 18 karat Ever-Rose gold and outer links in satin brushed stainless steel with polished edges. It is also fitted with an EasyLink rapid extension system that enables the wearer to increase the bracelet's length by approximately 5 mm, providing additional comfort. However, this bracelet is an absolute no-go for certain people since they have expected it to come on a Jubilee and not on an Oyster bracelet. In fact, some argue that this root beer model would be an incredible, if not perfect watch if it were for a Jubilee bracelet. This just goes to show how greatly a watch's individual features and components can influence how the watch as a whole is perceived. Once you remember that Rolex never promoted this watch as a root beer remake, you begin to appreciate it way more for what it actually is, an absolutely beautiful luxury timepiece from one of the most iconic brands. This perspective puts the unique color scheme and modern-looking bracelet in a different light. And who knows, maybe this version will go down as a classic at some point in the future because of its black dial, black and brown bezel, and two-tone bracelet. So, what do you think? Are you more of a vintage guy, like me, or would you also go for the 2018 edition? Let us know in the comments below. It's worth remembering that it's not easy to just walk into a store and pick up this or any other popular GMT-Master. However, realistically speaking, there is a much higher chance of this watch having a significantly shorter waitlist than its red and blue counterpart. That doesn't mean it's any worse or less valuable. In fact, if you look at its performance on Chrono24, you will find that the GMT-Master II Root Beer sells for around $18,000 and that its price has remained pretty consistent over the last couple of months. Chrono24 is home to around 3,700 listings for several Rolex Root Beer models. Follow the link in the description below to check them out. The Rolex Root Beer is not in any way identical to the vintage original version, but it boasts a unique look that you won't find anywhere else. Ultimately, to me, despite the controversy, it is simply a great watch that is destined to be a future classic. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and enjoy your watches. Bye bye.